Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar. It's on Secrets to Postcard Marketing Success. My name is Jill Bastian, and joining me today is Amber Cleve, and we're going to talk to you about postcards and do a little demo at the end as well. Before I get into any more details, though, a couple of things. First of all, the question that we are asked every single webinar and demo is this being recorded? And the answer is yes. We're going to send out a follow-up email after this presentation tomorrow, and there will be a link to our recorded version. So if there's something you miss, you'll still be able to catch that at our website. The other thing is at the end of the webinar, we will have a Q&A session. So as you're listening to our presentation, if there's any questions that come up, go ahead and type those into the box in your go-to webinar window, and we'll answer as many of those as we can at the end. This webinar is usually about 40 to 45 minutes long, so there'll be plenty of time for Q&A at the end. So with that, let's get started. So this is what we're going to go over today. So we're going to give you an overview of direct mail postcards, talk about where to get some quality postal lists, and we'll go into some more details on that. Some best practices for your direct mail marketing. We'll also show you some ideas and examples of postcards that have been sent through vertical response. And then at the end, I'll do a demo, and then as I mentioned, there will be a Q&A. So why postcards? Postcards are the least expensive form of direct mail, and according to eMarketer, they were one of the top marketing tactics with the highest ROI in 2008. We recently surveyed our customers on marketing that they respond to, and direct mail was the first on the list. So postcards are a great way to reach people just by the tests that we've done and the questions that we've asked. This is something that we've found over and over again. And one of the things that's great about postcards also is that you don't have to worry about if somebody's going to see your postcard because it's already opened. It's not something that's in an envelope. They don't have to open anything. Your message isn't hidden. It's also almost impossible to throw the postcard away without actually looking at it. Again, because there's no envelope hiding your message, it's right there in front of your recipients. And it is something that they would need to do something with. So it could be that they'll put your postcard on the fridge as a reminder for later. Maybe they'll file it away for the future. But whatever it is that they do, they have to act with your postcard, and they'll be looking at your message the whole time. There's also no limitations to the types of lists that you use with postcards. When you're sending out an email, there are limits on using purchase lists. We do require that all the lists you send an email to be opted in. But with a postcard, you can use a purchase list. There's not a do not send direct mail list. So you can use a purchase list to send a postcard to somebody. Now, while it's most effective to use your internal or house list, whatever you've built up over the years, if you want to branch out, you can rent or buy a list and send people postcards that way. It's also a great way for building a list. So you can get more people to sign up to receive your email, and you can also use this just for list building in general. And later on in our demo, we'll show you a little bit more about list building with postcards. You also know you'll be able to have the ability to get in front of people who should be receiving your postcard. So as you know, lots of email addresses do go bad. People's contact information changes, and with the economy the way it's been, sometimes people aren't at the job that they used to be at anymore, and their email address is no longer valid. But if you send a postcard, even if a particular person has left a company, you're still very likely to end up with your postcard in front of the person who's either taken over that role or somebody who's going to be able to react to the direct mail that you're sending. You'll also receive any of the undeliverable postcards. So for instance, if you send it to an address that's no longer valid, the post office will send it back to you because the postcards are sent first class mail, and you'll be able to help keep your list clean by finding out what is no longer a valid address. So, a little bit more on postcards. Postcards also help create an integrated approach. They work very well in tandem with other marketing weapons like emails or telephone calls or even personal visits. You want to establish a frequency that fits your product and your offer and stick with it. So maybe you want to mail a postcard every 2 weeks for 2 months, or maybe mail one a month for 6 months. This will help keep your company or your products top of mind for your prospects and for very little money. Repetition also works very well for postcards and just for marketing in general. So if you're being consistent, your customers or prospects will eventually have a need for your product or your service, and they'll go to your website or give you a call or come to your store. So, for an example, I recently saw a postcard that mentioned an upcoming email that was going to be sent out to read about more information. And that's a great way to use your direct mail to plant a seed for future messages and cause people to be more likely to want to open your email. You can also use postcards to be more targeted. So you can mail to a specific zip code, you can mail to a particular neighborhood or maybe a demographic, and then be able to reach the exact people that you want to reach. And postcards also, if you set them up right, can be trackable. It isn't something that we can provide in our system once it's dropped into the USPS postal system. We don't have any way of finding out where it's gone, but there's a couple things that you could add to your postcard in order to know when people are starting to get the postcard or using it. So you could set up a landing page, which I have here on this slide. So if you have a particular landing page where you could send people, then you'll know when people are hitting that landing page that they're coming from the postcard that you sent to them. You could also ask for them to give you a call and mention the postcard. So if they're calling in about a product or service that you offer, they mention the postcard, then you'll know for sure that they're people who are receiving your card. Or you could even have them bring in the postcard into a store where they could receive maybe a discount or something by bringing in the postcard. And again, that will help you make the postcards trackable for you. Postcards are also very easy. They're easy to create. It only takes a few minutes really to create a postcard. Easy to launch, and they're very simple, but they're very powerful. They're like mini billboards, and it's very easy for your recipients as well. As I said earlier, they don't have to open anything, so your message is right there. As people are walking from their mailbox, they're probably already seeing your message before they've even reached the front door as they're sifting through their mail. So that makes it easy for them to get the message that you're trying to get across to them.
Hi guys. So we talked about why to use postcards. Now let's cover some ideas on when to use postcards. You can drive email signups to your house list. If you have a list of people that haven't opted into your email list, but you want them to, you can't just send them an email, but you can send them a postcard. You can ask them to go to your website or a specific landing page that you created to sign up, and that's a way to track the success. And you can also provide an incentive for people to opt in. You can just offer them something, and then they'll be more likely to do the action of signing up or whatever it is that you're asking them to do. Trade shows often provide pre and post show lists. You can't email these people unless they give you explicit permission during the show or when you have contact with them and ask them to, but you can send them a postcard prior to the show and ask them to take some action with your business at the trade show. As well, you can follow up after and offer discounts to people who attended the trade show by sending them a postcard. So overall, postcards are a great marketing tool for events. Save the dates, reminders, invitations, discounts for events, offering booth locations at events, follow-ups, etc. The list goes on and on. So you can integrate and supplement any marketing campaign with postcards to get an even better response. As well, there's a lot of inbox clutter out there these days, and it's possible that some people missed your email, but they might still be interested in the content. So just because they didn't open it or respond to it, it doesn't mean it doesn't apply to them or it's them a postcard to try to get that message in front of them. Bounced emails don't even have a chance to see the email, so you can send them a postcard with the offer or even ask them to resubscribe to your email list with another email address so that they don't miss your offers and your messages. So, sending a postcard overall is just a great way to make sure that your messages aren't missed.
So, sorry, as I said earlier, we'll talk a little bit about some lists. So, we're going to give you some information about lists that you can rent or purchase, and then also how to build your own list. So, as I mentioned earlier, it's always good to start with your internal or house list. That's going to get your best results because those are people who know you and are familiar with you. But if you want to expand your database, then there are some options for you. For instance, if there's a publication that targets your particular audience or that has something to do with your particular um, vertical or type of business that you have, then you might want to contact them and see if you can rent a list from them because that's going to be people who are specifically interested in what it is that you offer. You can use a list broker, and they'll basically research and recommend lists for you, and then they'll also manage all the paperwork and other details that come with renting a list. So, for example, they could help you get a list of businesses or consumers who have purchased products or services similar to whatever it is that you offer, or who fall into a particular demographic or income range that you're trying to reach. You just want to make sure that they have a good reputation before you start using them. And then, as far as using rental or purchasing a list, there's some pros and cons. I'm going to go over a few here. If you rent, one of the things to keep in mind is that you don't own the rented list, and you usually have a limited mailing, and generally that's just one time. So that's one thing to keep in mind. You are also dependent on a third party's external sources for the accuracy of your list. So you want to make sure that the information is good that you're getting from them. If you purchase a list, you'll usually have the option to do pretty much whatever you want to do with the data except sell it. So you can usually use the list as often as you like. So, you can mail, you can do numerous mailings to the recipients if you use a purchase list. But purchase lists are usually a lot more expensive than using a rental list. You can also build your own list, and Amber is going to cover that in a few minutes. Um, and let's see, let's just go over a little bit more on list rental. Um, One of the things that you want to keep in mind when you're looking at this page here, or the slide here, is CPM pricing, and that's cost per thousand. So most of the time, list brokers will enforce a minimum charge of about $500 regardless of the size of the list. So it'll be $500 plus whatever size of your list is. You also, again, as I mentioned, make sure the list is clean, make sure the broker that you're going through has a good reputation. Um, and then also, before you rent or purchase a mailing list, you should probably determine how much your budget is for the whole mailing. So not only the price of creating your postcards or even the creative involved in the postcards and the mailing and everything, but also if you're going to be renting or purchasing a list, how much that's going to cost and how much you need in return to break even or make a profit with this particular form of marketing. So you want to keep all of that in mind before you start renting or purchasing a mailing list. So here are some list resources if you're interested in purchasing a list. Um, these are kind of in different order. So if you're looking for B2B, Hoover's and Dun& and Bradstreet, which is D&B on your slide, and ID Exec are good ones to look at. So if you want to target other businesses. If you're looking for consumers instead of other businesses to target, B2C, InfoUSA and Melissa Data, both at the top, are great for providing information on consumers and a little bit on business. Um, Also, if you want to start looking for a list yourself, the DMA, the Direct Marketing Association, has a tool on their website um, where you can search for resources that have lists. So if you go to their site and then under the resources tab, you can search on mailing lists, and then you'll be able to type in parameters what you're looking for. So if you're looking for golfers or a particular demographic or something, um, say you want a golfers mailing list, and then hit search, and it'll come up with a variety of lists that are available, and also what the cost is for those lists.
Okay, so as Jill mentioned, we are going to talk a little bit about list building. So just to remind you, use what you have to build your house email mailing list. As we've mentioned before, it's the most reliable list. You can start with an opt-in form on your website, and we offer those for free. So you can go check that out on the Vertical Response site. You can get everyone involved. So for example, if you have customer service calls or transactions, have the rep ask every caller, are you on our mailing list? Would you like to be? Here's why you should join, and then list out the benefits. Guest books and fishbowls are a great way to get mailing email addresses in your store. So if you have a storefront, just have a guest book up there or a fishbowl. People can drop in their business cards, and it's really simple to collect that information that way. So just to reiterate, your postcard campaigns are most successful if they're mailed to your house list. So you want to keep building that in addition to possibly renting or purchasing a list as well. And now we will discuss postcard best practices. You want to limit the postcard scope to one idea per postcard. There's a limited space on a direct mail postcard, so it's wise to limit that message to one major product or idea. If you have more than one idea, you can send out multiple postcards and be sure to save the multi topic sales pitch for brochures and websites as well. You should have only one dominant image on the non-addressed side of the postcard. Your postcard's image should support your headline. Together, they must identify and engage the audience. So choose an image for your postcard that is eye-catching, relevant to your message, and relevant to the reader in some way. So hopefully you're sending it to the right list. Focus on the offer. A good offer and a solid promise of value will motivate people to respond to your postcard. A pretty postcard is nice, but alone it's not really going to accomplish anything. So before you worry about the wording or the design of your postcard, focus on what you have to offer. What's the main point behind your direct mail postcard? What's the offer, incentive, or idea that's going to make people say, wow, I definitely want to learn more about that, and I'm going to take some action and do what this postcard is calling me to do. Then define clearly your call to action on the postcard communication. What is it that you want them to do? Plan your message and ask yourself, what do I want my audience to learn, do, receive, or respond to? And make sure that is very clear on the postcard. And some experts say that 40% of your direct mail campaign success is dependent on the list. So you want to match the offer to the right group of people. Who is the ideal audience for your postcard mailing? Are they people in a certain area or zip code? Maybe there are people who haven't purchased a certain type of product before. Identify them in your house list, and if you want to expand that list, you can with the resources that we discussed. Just make sure that you use a good resource and are sending to people who meet your ideal audience criteria. And repetition of the message works. It is the consistent, repetitive mailings that are exceedingly more effective than a one-time shot in the dark or a one-and-done mailing. When someone sees your company name over and over again, it builds credibility and familiarity. Although it may take a number of contacts with the customer before it leads to a sale, you want to give your audience the opportunity to respond. And then, as Jill also talked about, you want to include tracking like unique landing pages or promo codes. Have people bring postcards in. This is important for testing to see what works. Test different messages on your postcard. Send multiple versions of mailings to different subsets of the list and look at the results. Then send the most effective version or the one that was tracked as being redeemed the most to the rest of your list. So take note of who is taking action and be sure to mail to them regularly. Even just tracking your list and seeing who is on that list that made a purchase works. So you want to be sure to track and measure your success.
So here's a couple other things to keep in mind when you're creating your postcards. One of the important things is the timeline for creating a postcard. Um, Not only do you need to keep in mind that somebody on your side might need to design it if you have a creative team or if you don't have an image already planned. So you want to keep in mind how much time that might take. Also, the printing time and mailing time. This isn't sending an email, so you have to keep in mind that the post office does have a little more time to deliver the postcards than an email. So generally, you want to keep in mind that the postcard will arrive in your mailbox about 8 to 10 days from when you launch it. So you also want to include before that the time to design and print it. You also want to try to avoid having your postcards delivered on a Monday. It's usually the biggest mail delivery day of the week, and it's a very busy day for most people. Another thing that you want to keep in mind in reference to the post office is federal holidays. So, if within the 8 to 10 days that you're waiting for your postcard to be printed and mailed, there's a federal holiday, you need to keep in mind that you're going to miss at least one day of the post office not delivering postcards. And one of the things that I've noticed, I've been managing the postcards for a while in our system, is that for one day that the post office is closed, you can usually count an extra day of delayed delivery. So if there's one day that it's closed, you might want to add 2 extra days for the time it's going to take to be delivered. So not just making up the one day of it being closed. The average response rates for a postcard is between 1 and 3% across all industries. So you want to, again, keep in mind that having multiple postcards going out helps to keep your product or service in mind. And so this will kind of help have like a snowball effect over time. So some people will respond instantly. As soon as they get your postcard, they'll say, wow, that's great. I need this service or I need this product. But some people will hold on to your postcard and, like I said before, maybe put it on their fridge and then respond at a later date when they have a need. The slower responses aren't necessarily a bad thing. It's great to help keep your business steady instead of having everyone come in at one time. So you can have the responses spread out over a length of time. Some things you want to keep in mind when you're doing a postcard mailing. This is a great opportunity to clean up your list or update your list too. So if you have any bad addresses and you know that, you can go ahead and start cleaning that up before you send out your postcards, or you can also try updating your list before you send it out. And you might want to just set aside some time for doing that. Also, if you are sending out an offer, you want to make sure that your business is ready to deliver whatever it is that you're offering as people start responding. So make sure you've thought through whatever necessary resources or stock or whatever you need to fulfill the promises that you're making with your postcards. So now we're going to go into some postcard examples. This is kind of fun. And we can see some examples of people who have sent postcards out through vertical response. So one of the things that you can use postcards for is support for any events that you're attending or putting on. So you can do pre-event and post-event postcard marketing. You can use them to announce events, and you can even use them to send an invitation, promote speaking opportunities that you might have coming up, and they can also be used to drive traffic to your booth by sending out your booth number and giving people a reason to stop by. So the postcard that we're looking at here does just that. On the right-hand side of the postcard, you can see the booth number for Brintech, and then also it has a complimentary coffee card if you stop by with the postcard. So they also they use the postcards. This particular company uses the postcards to drive traffic at the event by sending out a postcard before it occurs, before the event occurs, and then after the event, they send out a postcard thanking people for coming by, and they even follow that up with an email or a phone call from one of their sales reps for the people who stop by the booth.
And here we have another customer postcard example. Send postcards regularly to your best contacts or customers asking for referrals. So, word of mouth referrals are extremely valuable and they get even better results. To get even better results, you can incentivize by providing some kind of discount or bonus to the the referred, or both. So, in this example, you can see it's a refer a friend. This business offered free licenses worth $500 or $100 gift certificate to Amazon if their customer referred a friend and the friend then made a purchase. So they also directed traffic to a specific web page where the more detailed on the referral offer was posted so they could track the website traffic as well as see if they got any referrals from their customer base. So this is a great example of a refer a friend postcard marketing strategy.
So here is an example for using postcards to announce things. And that's a great way to get your message across as well. So if, for instance, if you have a new product that's available and you have a list of customers that you know will be interested in the new product, you can send out a postcard and let them know that this new product is coming out. Or maybe you have customers who are eligible for an upgrade to a particular product that you have. You could send an announcement to let them know about that. You could also use it to announce changes in pricing, if you have a new location for your business or new hours, or even if a shipment has come in for certain customers, you can use the postcards to let them all know that. So here on your screen, there's a couple of examples of using an announcement. The one on the right is a winery customer of ours, and they're sending an announcement to their wine club members to let them know that the wine club shipment is available and also inviting them to a tasting at the winery. The one on the left is Steinway, and they use postcards to send out announcements about things like price changes, which this one is, or special financing that they offer. They've also sent postcards out for event invitations, educational programs that they offer, and even regional programs that they have.
And another postcard example of one of our customers is using postcards to tell people that you are successful in your business. They will be more likely to try you if they haven't, and if they are a customer, they'll be happy to read the news and see that your business is doing well. So, ideas of success are maybe you've won an award or you've been nominated and need some votes. Even if it's a local award, just promote it to the locals. So, in this example, this is a real estate agency, and they've done a great job of showing their success of selling homes in a certain area, and they can target homeowners in a specific zip code with a postcard mailing such as this.
So this is an example of using postcards for notifications. You can use this for a product name change, so if something's changing, a company name change. You can send out different versions as well to communicate important topics like this. And it's something that could also affect your email open rates if you're following up your direct mail postcards with an email as well. You can also use postcards for any required notifications that you need to have. For instance, if a service is going to expire, or if there's a proxy vote that's coming up, you can use a postcard for notification for that as well.
So here are some other great postcard ideas. Postcards are great for driving web traffic and getting people to opt in to your email list, as we mentioned before. On the example to the right, this is the Barley House. This is a restaurant welcoming new people to the area and asking them to sign up for their newsletter. If they sign up, they get 50% off their first meal at the restaurant. Other people you can send to build your list are emails that have bounced and ask them to update their account with a new email. Thank yous are always a great way to follow up for business or even a nice personal touch. You can do a mystery mailing where you send a piece of a larger message sent one at a time, People eagerly await your next mailing to put the whole message together. This is also a great way to see postcard campaigns even become like collector's items. People look out for them, get excited. You can also do series of tips or offers that go together. And then there's, of course, personal messages. We've seen everything from holiday greetings to birthday party invites, Valentine's, graduation announcements, and beyond. Happy birthday to customers or customer anniversaries are also great ways to use postcards. You can also include coupons or discounts. When you use a postcard as a discount coupon or a ticket to an entry, you definitely raise the possibility of a response. You can also do online code, bring the postcard into the store, anything like that.
Okay, so we've had some nice examples of postcards, of how to use postcards for your direct marketing. And so this is going to be an example of what not to do. And before I get into what is wrong with this particular postcard, I just want to mention this was not sent through vertical response. So this is not one of our customers. Um, on the left, you can see the front of the postcard, and it's a really good creative. Why wait? The time is now is a good message. One of the things that you might want to notice on the front, though, is that there's a big typo. So on the left-hand side, it says, or at the bottom and on the left, it says 10% off carpet and upholstery cleaning, and that, of course, should be carpet. So you want to make sure that you do proofing, and you might actually want to have somebody else besides just you take a look at what your postcard looks like before you send it out, just to have a fresh pair of eyes on it. In our system, you have to download a PDF of what your postcard's going to look like that has a code on it, which I'll show you in the demo. And that's a great thing that you could send to somebody else in your company just to take a look and make sure everything looks good. Um, Probably the worst problem with this postcard, however, is on the back. The typo's not good on the front, but on the back, there's a lot that's going on here. First of all, they probably have way too much copy on here. That is a lot of text on the back of that postcard, and it's really hard to read. People don't want to read a book on the back of a postcard. They want to have a clear message, and you want to have a clear message so that they do whatever it is that you're trying to get them to do in the first place. The other thing to notice on here is that the little red circles there are stickers that the post office has put on the postcard to help in the sorting of the postcard. On the right-hand side, part of their text is covered up by this sticker. On the left side, which is probably the worst part, is that their logo is covered, their postal address is covered, and their contact information is covered by this sticker. So this makes it really hard for the person receiving the postcard to be able to really get in touch with this company after everything that they've done to try to get this person to come in. One of the things to note, and again, I'll show you this in the demo in just a few minutes, is that vertical response actually doesn't allow you to put text where those stickers are. That one, especially on the right-hand side, we actually prevent you from putting in information where that's going to go. So you won't be losing that space um, to the post office tracking stuff. And here is a little more information. Um, We have a lot of great resources on our website. We have some tutorials. If you go to our help site, there's a lot of short videos that you can watch. They're all like 2 minutes long on how to use vertical response. We also have information on our website about the pricing. That's a popular question. It's very hard to go into the pricing in this webinar because we have two different sizes of postcards, which you'll see here on the slide, 4x6 and 6x9. And then also, depending on the amount that you're purchasing, the price will differ. So I would just recommend going to our pricing page on our website. And you can type in, I want to buy 136 postcards, and it'll tell you exactly how much that's going to cost. So you can get a quick quote right there on the website. We also have no minimums, so you could purchase one postcard. You could purchase 15 postcards. You could purchase 150,000 postcards. Whatever is going to work for you, there's no minimum. So that's another great thing to keep in mind. The postcards are printed on recycled material, 30% recycled material, and the paper is Forest Stewardship Council certified. And you can go to that URL there if you want to go check out what that means. It's 110-pound paper and it's glossy. We have them put a UV coating on there to protect your image so that as it goes through all those machines in the post office, it stands a better chance of coming out looking nice. Um, and then lastly, at the bottom of the page there, we have a postcard marketing group in our VR marketing lounge. And that's free. It's basically a forum where people can go and talk about different parts of vertical response and marketing in general. So if you want to go check out some other people's ideas for postcard marketing, you can certainly go and check that out in our lounge.
So before the demo, just to kind of summarize what we've gone through, we hope all these tips help you so you don't get left behind on postcard marketing. Postcards make sense for most any small business, and you can't go wrong with these tips. They've been tried and true. Don't forget it's easy. We print, address, and mail for you. And if you haven't already, you can try it for free by sending yourself one free postcard and seeing how easy it is. So now Jill will show you how it's done by creating a postcard in vertical response.
Yep. So let me quickly jump to our account. So this is a vertical response account. To get to the postcard section, you can just go to postcards in this blue navigation bar at the top of the account. You can jump right into creating a postcard, or you can go check out drafts of ones you haven't sent out, or even check out ones that you have. So let me go ahead and jump into creating a new postcard. You need to give it a name. You can call it anything you want. This has nothing that's going to be printed on your postcard. So this is just for you to be able to keep track of whatever postcards you've sent out. And then you have a couple of options here. You can upload your own image. So if you have an idea of what you want to have your postcard look like on the front, you can upload your own image. You need to keep in mind that it has to be a JPEG and it has to be at least 150 dpi, but a higher resolution would be a lot better for the result when it's printed out. So 150 is the least, but I would recommend higher. We also have the option of using our stock images. So if you don't have an image in mind, you can search through our stock images to come up with an image that you can use, which I'm going to do in just a second. And you also have the option of just doing a solid color and then just adding text, so not actually having an image on the front. So let me go ahead and search for an image. This is the same image library that you have available for creating your emails. So you can also tie your emails and postcards in together. You can use the same images for both of them. There's 75,000 free images. We have some categories set up here already, but you can search for anything that you want. So let's go ahead and look for San Francisco since that's where we're at. And then you'll get all different types of images that fall into that particular category that you're looking for. There's a few pages of them that you can look through. And then as you mouse over the thumbnails, you'll get a bigger picture of what it's going to look like. So I'm going to go ahead and select this Golden Gate Bridge picture. So there we go. I can see what it is that I'm going to have for my image. Click Next. And then this is going to bring up our image or our postcard editing tool. So there's a few things that you can do up here at the top. Obviously, you can change your image. You can flip it, turn it so that it's going in a different direction. You can crop it if you want to, and you can even turn it into a black and white picture if you want to do that. So that's kind of fun as well. But I'll go back to color one. And then, as I mentioned before, we have two different sizes. We have 6x9 and we have 4x6, so you can select which one you want from here. And then you can also add whatever text you want to add on the front of your postcard. You can just click wherever it is that you want to add your text, and that's going to open up this window where you can start adding your text. So let's say it's San Francisco event. You can select whatever font you want to use on the front. You can change what it looks like, so you can have bold or italic. I'm going to leave mine regular. And you can set up what size you want your font to be as well. So let's make this a little bit bigger here. Let's say 35. And you can even choose a different color. So if I wanted to have a color that matched the Golden Gate Bridge, a red color, you can choose that. I have a sample here of everything that I've changed. And then go ahead and click Save Changes, and that's going to add the text to the front of my postcard. One of the great things about the text is that if you don't like where it is, you can move it. You can use your mouse to grab it and move it around. So I could move it down here, or I can have it go along here. So you can set it up however you want, even after you've already created your text. Now, just like sending out an email, the postcard has a few steps that you go through. So the second one is adding text to the back. Again, as I mentioned, our system's going to prevent you from going too far down on the postcard. So this blank space down here is actually to put that sticker that the post office adds. You can add your message. Again, you want to make sure that you're not writing a book. People have a hard time reading really small font. Um, you can choose what font you want to use, and you can also choose what size you want your font to be. And then add your message. You do have to have a from return address. It has to be a valid address. This is actually required by law, so make sure you have your address here. Our system's going to pull in whatever's under the account section, just like it does for the email. So I recommend that if you haven't done so already, that you go ahead and add your address in there, and then you don't have to worry about it when you're creating your postcards or your emails. Step 3, you're going to view the proofs. As I mentioned before, if you want someone else to take a look at it, this is a great way to do it because you're going to get a PDF and you can just forward that to someone else who might want to just have another set of eyes to make sure there's no big typos. Step 4, you're going to select your mailing list. And you can use any list that you have in your account. You want to make sure that you have postal addresses, though, because our system's going to verify those addresses. We do use a program called CAS, which verifies the postal addresses in your list with the USPS to make sure you're mailing to valid addresses. So hopefully that will keep your list fairly clean. And you can also see where the free postcard is here. It's only good for the 4x6, but this is a great way for you to be able to see not only the quality of the postcards, because they are very nice postcards, but also about how long it's going to take from beginning to end. So you can keep that in mind when you actually launch your campaign. I'll just select one of these, click submit. Step 5, you're going to schedule. Generally, you'll probably do earliest launch available. Again, it's going to take 8 to 10 days till someone gets it. But if you're creating your postcard, maybe you're doing a series, you can schedule them to go out in advance. And then when the date that you've set up in here comes around, the system's going to automatically send that to our printer. And then step 6 is launch. You will need to enter the code, excuse me, the codes from the proofs on step 3, just to show that you actually looked at it. And then this is also where you're going to do the purchase. So however many postcards you need for your list, you'll purchase them from this page. Again, it doesn't have anything to do with the email credits. You'll just purchase the number of postcards that you need, and then you'll be able to launch your postcard. Once it's gone out, we'll go over here. I don't have any sent postcards, but it would tell you the time and the date that it was sent out, and it'll show you the name of your postcard. So just like this, um, these are all my drafts, and I could come in here and make copies or send them out, whatever it is that I want to do.